Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me this afternoon is your Chief of Police, Chad Brecklin. Chad, how you doing, sir?
I am well. How are you doing?
Wonderful, wonderful.
I hope your new year is off to a great start.
Oh, it is. We got a lot of stuff in the pipeline
Mm-hmm.
this year on Fact TV, and I know you have a lot of initiatives coming up in 2019.
Not one.
No.
Not one.
Oh, well, this is going to make for a long segment then.
Yeah.
We are going to be talking a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
review a little bit of last year. A lot happened last year.
Yeah.
Good and bad and everything
Yep.
in between, as
Yep.
as it does.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, look to 2019.
Right.
And find out some of the stuff that you guys have in the pipeline that you're
Mm-hmm.
working on,
Mm-hmm.
because it's more than just police work. And
Yeah.
police work is a big term there.
Right.
There's a lot
Right.
a lot that goes into
Yeah.
policing.
There's a lot of moving parts, in a police department. You have the police work and the service that's provided out there at the street level, but then you have a whole host of things that are going on behind the scenes, so to speak, whether it's personnel management, initiative management, accountability measures. You have a dispatch center to run. You have records clerks who are feverishly processing records requests and typing, thousands of police reports over the course of a year. You have a court liaison person who's, being our shuffle between or mediator between the DA's office, juvenile intake, and a variety of other things. And there's all kinds of things that really go on behind the scenes, so to speak.
Is there any room for training in there, Chad?
There is room for training, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention the investigative arm of the department as well. They're obviously out doing things out in the street and crime fighting, so to speak. But, there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes with that group as well. So, yeah, there's no shortage of things that are happening.
My suggestion to y'all folks, do the Citizens Academy.
That would
That's
be
the
great.
best way to find
Yep.
out just
Yep.
how much work goes into a police
Mhm.
department.
Mhm.
Chad, taking a look back at 2018, we're almost to your first year here. We were
Yeah.
just commenting that, but
Mhm.
looking back at it, I'm sure a lot of it's a blur because there
Yep.
just is so much happening.
Yep.
But some of the things that you thought went really well for the department in 2018.
Yeah, so last year, or 2018, basically was my first year in this role. I started in January of last year, so that was an interesting way to start the year for me, professionally and personally, obviously. But throughout the year, I spent a lot of time evaluating the department and some things that I wanted to do. Potentially looked at some new initiatives, look at some things to do differently, look at things to continue doing. And one of the big things that I will always continue to do that I've learned in my nearly 20 years here is to be a service-oriented police department, where if you call our police department, you are going to get a person at your door if you want a person at your door. Obviously, if you just prefer to ask a question over the phone, we'll do what we can to answer your particular question and get you the information that you need. But I think it's important that we do maintain a high level of service to our community. They have grown to expect that. And I think that as typically the first representative of government that people typically have any interaction with, it's imperative for us to be delivering a high level of ideally quality service so that people understand that every year when they come into the city to write their property tax check, that they are seeing a return on that investment. Some other things that we had last year is obviously early in the year we had a homicide take place over at the New Fountains apartment complex. We're seeing one of the third and final suspect looking at a trial this week. I know there may be some changes coming in regards to the charging there, but it does appear as though that he is at least going to be facing some charges. Two others have already settled their case and have been convicted and working on sentencing on that. We look at other things throughout the course of the year. As you mentioned, our Citizens Academy happened again this year. I think this was our 7th Citizens Academy, 7th or 8th, if my memory is any good, and it's seemingly fading by the day when I talk about memory. But once again, that was a great event. Our coordinators on that are phenomenal. They do a great job. We had very positive feedback. I know your staff was there at several occasions, and I know you have also had an experience with at least a Citizens Academy, so you understand how it allows people to really get in to see the day-to-day work. We also participated in our Black and Latino Youth Academies with Madison Police Department and several other agencies. That's also a great opportunity for outreach for us, where we get to work with middle school and high school age kids, and again, spend a few days with them to show them more about the work that we do. We continue to do as much outreach as we can. We never seem to have enough resources to hit all the events or look at all the potential programs that are out there. But we did have a couple Coffee with the Cop events. We try to hit as many community events as we possibly can. And we're always looking at new ways that we can potentially look to do outreach. One example of that is just last month, which we talked about on your show, is the Hy-Vee holiday ham giveaway. Being present at really good events like that.
Yeah, I mean, you do a lot of community events, and again, there's so much always going on, so it's hard to get out there. But things like being on this show, some of the other public shopping with the cop, all of those events, I think, really great PR. I also love to see when you guys share photos, being outside of the car, when the staff's outside the cars, walking in the community. Yeah. Those things I think are big things, and same with the summer crime picnic as well. I think, or whatever. I'm drawing a blank on that. But
you're right. It is the Crime Day picnic. Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
Crime Day.
Yep.
I think are all great ways, again, to break that barrier down and to talk to the staff. Great officers here in Fitchburg.
Yeah, I think, again, service is always high on the list. Outreach is always going to be high on the list. You mentioned things like foot patrol. I think it's important for us to get out of the cars as often as we can. Our 35 square miles and our workload doesn't always serve as a conducive measure to get out as often as I'd like to see our folks out there, but I know they're really making a good effort to be out and visible and not always just being present in a neighborhood when there's a problem or a call.
Absolutely. All right. Taking, although we could spend probably hours going back to 2018.
You'd probably do a multi-part show on just the review.
A series. I like it.
Hint.
Oh boy, that's more work on us. No, just kidding. 2019. Certainly, lots changing around us in the world, and I'm sure you guys have some new initiatives. Plus, continuing what you've said you've worked on here this past year.
Yeah. A lot of the things that we've been doing for a number of years will continue, but some things that I do want to work on in 2019. I should have mentioned during 2018 we had begun work on a staffing plan for the next 5 years. So we look to wrap that up here in 2019, which will identify what we anticipate to be our staffing and resource needs through the next 5 years or so, which would also include the possible incorporation of the town of Madison into Fitchburg during that time. Some other things, mission, vision, and value statements. We've had statements in place for I think about 17 or 18 years here in the department, and I think it's time for us to take a look at those and see if we want to refresh those at all. So I'm going to be putting together a work group of interested department members and have them take a look at that and listen to see what sorts of feedback and suggestions they have. Also looking to address space needs in the police department. We're at 20 years in this building, and we have grown considerably. The building serves us well, but it's time for a remodel project to get us through for about another 5 years or so until we can hopefully get a long-term solution addressed via the city, which a long-term solution I realize is pricey and needs to be planned for. So I think it's prudent for us to do a project here now that, again, can at least buy us some time in order to make sure we get the right plan and the right timing that's reasonably priced. Other things I'm looking to do is, look at training opportunities for our department, things like procedural justice. I'm hoping to potentially bring that to our department this year. Looking to begin a department advisory group, which will allow me to interact with in a I guess not one-to-one, but in a small group setting for a variety of different representatives of our work groups, non-supervisory representatives. I already meet with our supervisory staff once a month, and command staff on nearly a weekly basis, or at least ideally a weekly basis, depending on schedules. So this is just looking to be another opportunity where I can get feedback from our staff on initiatives, department operations, and those sorts of things.
Wow.
That's just a thumbnail, really.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I know a lot going on down there. We're looking forward to having you back and keep telling your guys the stories throughout the year here. So,
Well, we always appreciate that you're willing to share our message. It's very beneficial to us.
well, we appreciate it. Chad, that's your Chief of Police, Chad Brecklin. 1 year in the books almost. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And, well, I guess I'll wait to get to the 1 year mark.
Yeah, I
Can't
mean,
pre-congratulate me.
yeah,
Oh, man.
I might not make it.
Well, we had a good interview. I'm sorry I blew that. All right, let's thank you to Chad, and we'll take a quick break. You are watching Talking Fitchburg.